how to overcome failure and tough times as an entrepreneur and a small business owner. That's what we are going to cover in today's episode from Freedom Entrepreneurship. Welcome to Freedom Entrepreneurship, where we are answering one question. How can we have both growth and freedom? Or how can we get unstuck? So basically, how can we regain our freedom if we are lacking freedom at the moment? My name is Stephan Poschik. Let's get started. First, let me tell you a little bit more about myself, because you probably already saw a show, but you are wondering, okay, why is this guy talking about freedom entrepreneurship? Does he even have the credibility? I don't know. Judge yourself, because decide for yourself. I personally started as a business owner 25 years ago already. And over the time, I was able to found 8 different companies already. And I'm still running 6 companies at the moment of recording these shows. So 4 of these companies are located in Europe. The other 2 companies are located in the US. And my company group is operating and servicing customers in 27 different countries in the meantime. I never went bankrupt. I never basically worked with investors. I never needed to. I never needed to rebuild a company because of bankruptcy, and I still like what I do. So the big question is: am I qualified to talk about failure and how to overcome failure and to talk about freedom entrepreneurship? I personally say yes, of course, but please decide for yourself. A little bit more behind the scenes. These companies I built, all of them I built from scratch. So I did not take over a company. I did not inherit a company. I really needed to build all of these companies from scratch and from zero without any investment dollars or investment money at the beginning. So probably when you are in business already a couple of months or better a couple of years, you experienced a bunch of failures or hard times or obstacles already. Guess what? Me too. When you are in business 25 years and you will build multiple companies, there is absolutely no way that you did not experience a bunch of failure yet, or you did not experience a bunch of hard times yet. It's just not working that way, because building a business is something where we are solving problems. And this is per definition already something what is part of running and building a successful business. So in a business, you are solving problems for customers. But as a business owner, as the founder, as the CEO of the company, your job is also to solve problems internally in your company to make it possible to solve problems or basically solve issues for customers. So here we go. Solving problems is just part of running a business. But when you solve problems, some of the problems are small problems, some of the problems are obstacles, some of the problems are just a huge surprise and a huge pain in the ass. And you probably did not cause anything and you still ran into this problem, like it happened to most small business owners when COVID hit a bunch of years ago. So I personally did not invent this. I didn't launch it in the world. I didn't promote it, nothing. It was totally out of my hands, and it still happened to my companies. And back then I was running 3 different companies and it hit very, very hard. And now is the question, okay, how can we overcome obstacles and how can we overcome failure, or how can we overcome things like that? And what I want to do in the next couple of minutes is I want to share some of the failures or obstacles or hiccups or issues or road bumps, however you want to call it. I want to show you a couple of examples what I personally experienced. And I also want to tell you what I did back then and how I navigated that. And hopefully you can get a couple of very good insights for yourself when you are in a situation where you experience problems or issues at the moment, that you can use it or that you can avoid some of these things in the future. So let's get started. One of the first things is when I actually started one of my companies. This was around 2009, 2010, yeah. So then I started Feel the Energy, where we were doing personal training, nutrition coaching, mental health training. And back then I was also doing a lot of education in the health area. So we are basically in the wellness area. So I was educating future nutrition coaches, personal trainers, and mental health trainers. And I was partnered with back then the biggest education or private education company in Austria. And they were doing courses and trainings for hundreds and thousands of people every single year. And I was very, very, very involved in this company. So I generated a very decent amount of my annual revenue in the year 2010 with this company. And at some point, the payments of the company came in slower. And then the payment of the company came in much more time delayed. And then suddenly the payment of the company stopped. But there were still all these educational gigs and all these training gigs. And I kept going because, of course, I had conversations with the owner back then, and the owner reached out to us, and the owner always had great reasons why the payment is late, why the payment did not come, when the payment is going to come, and on and on and on. Long story short, at the end of the year 2010, this company filed bankruptcy. And the result for me was I actually lost over 80% of the whole annual revenue due to this bankruptcy. And that brought me personally in a very, very difficult situation. Because I can't even tell you how many things happened for me or to me back then, thinking back, because I give you a couple of examples. Back then I was very unexperienced. I was in business since 9 years, yes, but I just started to really get traction, to really build my first team around me in the last 1 or 2 years back then. So I trusted this partner, and I trusted that he is going to be a reliable business partner, and I trusted why the money did not come and that the money is going to come later. And then suddenly I heard from the lawyers that, okay, there is not going to be any type of money anymore. The next thing is, guess what? The business owner disappeared. And this nice little asshole basically took the brand the day before they filed bankruptcy and assigned the brand to himself as a private person. So basically took the brand, what I learned later on, what was the most important or most valuable thing, took it, assigned it to himself as a private person, and then he just sent the company's house. Yeah, okay, great, awesome. Next thing is, I never experienced a cash flow crunch like that before. I actually never experienced a cash flow crunch like that. Cash flow crunch is basically when you are making a lot of revenue, you also have your costs, but the revenue is not coming fast enough to your account to pay all the bills. So your company can make a cool revenue, even a cool profit, but you are still in a very bad situation because the cash flow is not there. Okay, so I experienced that on a big scale the first time. Why? Because it was also the first time that I had significant team members around me and I needed to pay my own team members. And if you don't get the money, how the hell are you paying your own team members? So these were a lot of situations I experienced, and unfortunately, I'm also just human. I experienced a bunch of fear and insecurity and uncertainty because I did not know, oh shit, how do I keep going? One of the most important things back then is on how I navigated that is at the very, very early stage as an entrepreneur, I made a contract with myself. And the contract was, I am going to figure out entrepreneurship. Period. And this is what I see that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the early stage, they test entrepreneurship. They try to be an entrepreneur. It's like, okay, I'm going to take a new job and let's see, if I like the job, I'm going to stay there. If not, I'm going to quit and I'm going to do something else. That was never entrepreneurship for me. Entrepreneurship for me was always, I am going to figure this out. I'm going to become successful as an entrepreneur. And this was a deal and a contract I signed with myself. So even in this situation back then, I never ever second guessed that entrepreneurship is the right journey for me. So I did not even consider, oh my God, I cannot pay my team. Okay, I'm going to close my company, going to fire all of them again. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to get back to job security and on and on. No, it was just not even an option for me. But this type of certainty is something what you need to really overcome big obstacles. You need to really make sure I'm going to figure this thing out. And the cool thing is, when you are so certain about that entrepreneurship is your journey, then the question just becomes, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to change? How do I need to adapt? What is the next step? How can I prepare for something like that I don't run into this situation in the future again? Okay? And this is actually what I did back then. So I was thinking about that. I was doing research. I saw that my team, my company, and myself, we were very good in this educational part. I also saw that the market is there, that there are thousands of people every single year who want to have these educations. So my decision was, okay, what you can do, I can do better. And my solution for this issue was, I founded the Feel the Energy Academy back then. And the Feel the Energy Academy was an educational institution where we were doing training and education for future nutrition coaches, for personal trainers, for fitness trainers, for mental health coaches and trainers. So what was a big, massive hit from a financial perspective, because I lost over 80% of the revenue in 2010, became one of the biggest revenue drivers in the year 2011 and basically caused the birth of the Feel the Energy Academy back then. So in every single major setback, you just need to figure out, okay, what is the learning here? What can I do better? Can I do it alone? Why did I run into this situation? Did it have anything to do with me? Did I cause the situation? Or was it outside of my hands? Or probably I didn't listen to red flags down the road. And yeah, back then, the decision, entrepreneurship is my journey. Okay, I did research. Is there a market? Yes, of course. And then I just decided, okay, good. They filed it. I can do it better. And I started to grow a new revenue chain, which was very, very, very successful. Good. That was one example. Let me give you another example, what I actually did a lot of times and what caused tremendous issues for myself and for my team members and for my organization. So one of the things I really tended to do over years and years and years, I just see solutions. When I go out the door, I look around and I immediately see 5 or 10 different business ideas. I see the trees that need to be fixed. I see the cars that need to be cleaned. I see construction. I see consulting services that can implement it. I see coaching opportunities that can implement it. I see educational things that can be done, and on and on and on and on and on. And when you have so many opportunities, or when you probably just have so many interests that you want to do 10 different things or 100 different things at the same time, then you can build a business around it. And you can start either a new company or a new revenue stream inside your company. And this is how I did it. So in a lot of situations, I literally added an additional revenue stream to my companies very, very fast. And like I said, especially in the early days. And what happened? I had one revenue stream, and I was always able to grow, even in the early days, this one revenue stream to 6 figures and above very, very soon. Within just a couple of months, I was able to have it at least at 6 figures or above. And then growth was much slower, sometimes not so sustainable, but it kept going. But what I did is I added another revenue stream. And guess what? I was able to grow this revenue stream again very fast to over 6 figures and above. And then I was adding another revenue stream and I was growing that. But while I was adding the second and the third revenue stream, guess what happened to the first stream? The first revenue stream basically went down and basically got stuck or started to cause issues because there was not so much focus anymore. So one of the major mistakes I did here is I built something, but before this one revenue stream or this one company or this one thing was really sustainable and was running without me, without needing the owner of the business, without needing me to execute or to sell or to market it, I already built the second one, and guess what? My focus switched to the second one. And I was focusing on the second one, building the second one, and the first one was going down. And at the end of the year or at the end of this cycle, I suddenly had 2, 3, 4 revenue streams. And the annual revenue was a little bit higher than the year before. So 10%, 25% higher than the year before, which is, don't get me wrong, a very nice growth, but back then I really wanted to grow 2x, 3x, 5x. So when you want to grow 3x and you just do 10%, 25%, you are very disappointed with yourself. At least I was, okay? So we had a little bit more revenue, but the first revenue stream went downhill again. We suddenly had 2 or 3 or 4 revenue streams instead of 1. And the company was 4 times, 10 times more complex because we suddenly had different revenue streams, suddenly different products, suddenly different income streams, suddenly different targeted audiences. So we needed to market differently. My team got overwhelmed. I got overwhelmed, and it was just a mess. And this is happening, I see this happening over and over and over and over again. So what I learned, first, I really needed to see that I am causing this issue in my companies and in my organizations. Because a long time nobody told me. I just was doing it. We had more team members, we were growing, but okay, not in the way I wanted to have it, and it got more complex and the team got overwhelmed, and I was not really satisfied with that. So the first thing I really needed to learn, I needed to understand what is the issue behind it. What am I causing it? And that I am the issue and I'm causing this problem. The next thing is I needed to learn and I needed to understand, okay, I need to grow and build something, and then I need to make sure that this is sustainable enough and stable enough that I can step out of this before I add something new. So I needed to make sure that I implement processes. I needed to make sure that we have standards in place. I needed to make sure that I have team members who are going to take over. I needed to delegate responsibility and outcome, accountability, and not just delegate the task to team members. So this is what I needed to do. And then I also needed to learn one thing, which is probably even the biggest thing when I take a look at the 25-year entrepreneurial journey. One of the biggest mistakes I made is I added additional companies and I added additional revenue streams. But I added solutions for different audiences, for different customers, for different type of people. And when you have a product or a service and you add a new product or a service which is for a different customer avatar, then you suddenly have two completely separate companies, because you need to market them differently, you need to sell it differently, you need to have different price points, you need to have different deliverables, you need to have different team members, everything is different, okay? And I unfortunately did exactly that. On the other hand side, when you grow something and now it is stable, and now you add a second revenue stream or even a second company or even 8 companies, what I did over time, and you make sure that all these different companies or all these different revenue streams are servicing the same audience, are servicing the same customer avatar, then you have something which is unfreaking believable. Because then you suddenly have upsell, cross-sell opportunities, downsell opportunities, resell opportunities. Majorly the first one, so this cross-sell. Because you have customers in the first company, and then you have a service in the second company, and you can sell the service from the second company to the same customers, okay? And then you have probably a third company or a third revenue stream. So now you can sell 3 different things to the same audience, to the same customer, to the same persons, or to the same companies. And this is one of the holy grails on how you can really grow and scale strategically. And this is what I needed to learn out of that. And I want to give you a third thing here. And a third situation is, you probably already heard my COVID story somewhere, but that's the reason I dedicated full episodes to that, or you can just reach out to me and I share the details with you. But the short version is, when COVID hit, back then I was running 3 different companies already, and we were really, really prepared to launch like crazy. I invested a huge amount 2019 in growing the companies, adding a bunch of full-time employees here in Austria, renovating our office space. We started a franchise system in the US. We had already a couple of strategic partners over there, and on and on. So we were really, really on a run, and we were really absolutely on the high for the year 2020. And then COVID hit. And within 24 hours, literally everything went to zero. And 19 years in the building and 19 years of my life got destroyed. Because within 24 hours, I got beat up so bad, like never ever before, because every customer called or sent an email and they quit, they canceled, they froze the project, they put the project on hold, they requested their money back, they stopped the payments, and I needed to go to my team members back then, and I needed to tell them, hey guys, I do not have work for you anymore. I have no idea how we are going to get over this. And it was the biggest hit ever I experienced. And it was 100% out of my control. So I did not cause it. I was not the issue. I was not the root cause. I had nothing to do with it. And it still happens to me, to my family, to my loved ones, and to my companies and to my team members. Thinking back and rebuilding the companies after 2-3 years after COVID, and now in the meantime, I added a bunch of additional companies. We are in 27 different countries all around the world. We are on every continent, and we are really, really growing very, very good. Thinking back, I had a couple of very, very big learnings through COVID. So one of the things was, I had one source of lead generation. And that one source was me. So I was the source of lead generation, and it was 100% offline. So back then I used keynote speaking, and I went to conferences, and I had a booth over there. I did trade shows and on and on. And I used keynote speaking and these trade shows to generate leads. So this is one source of lead generation. I needed to be there always. I needed to be on the stage, and everything was offline. And then when something like COVID come around and you do not have events anymore and you are not allowed to travel anymore, oh shit, because from one moment to the next, you do not have any opportunity to do marketing again. So guess what? My learning was never rely on one source of marketing, of lead generation ever again. And now we have multiple resources: personal network, speaking, podcast, LinkedIn, social media, email marketing, strategic partnerships, on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Referral partnerships. Okay, so that was one of the big learnings. The second thing was all my companies back then were positioned 100% offline. Yes, we did not have AI available and technology, and Zoom and was not so common like we have it in the meantime, of course, but it was already available. So online conferences, MS Teams, Zoom meetings, and all these things, this was already available even before COVID. Nobody did it or nobody focused on it. But, okay, my companies were positioned 100% offline. Good. Same issue again. COVID hit. We were not allowed to travel anymore. My team members, my experts, and myself, we were not allowed to go into the buildings from our customers anymore. And so immediately, we were basically not allowed to do our business anymore. Okay, what did I do? I changed the type of services, and we positioned us that we have on-site and online products and services. And I also needed to rebuild the team, because not everybody who is great on-site is great online to deliver coaching and consulting services and workshops and teachings and whatever. Good. Another learning from that. Same again with the team members. If you have team members that are only operational and working and capable to work on-site in your office, and home office and remote work or a virtual work is an absolute no-go for them. Okay, before COVID, no issue. During COVID, big issue. Now, okay, what are you doing? I personally decided, okay, I built a complete virtual and remote culture that I don't need to see them to be able to be a great leader, to grow an organization, to build my team members, to train my team members, to run my companies. But same again, one of the big learnings. And these were just three of the big ones that came from the COVID situation back then. So all the three things I shared with you in the last couple of minutes back then for me caused tremendous amounts of stress, uncertainty, sleepless nights, really, really painful situations also from a financial situation. And some of these situations lasted really months or even years to really get over it or solve it. But at the end of the day, come on, are you an entrepreneur or what? If you are an entrepreneur, the question should never be, oh my God, I failed. I need to get a job. The question always needs to be, okay, good. What can I learn here? How can I do it better? And what do I need to do to get out of the situation I'm just in? And this is exactly what we are also doing with our coaching and consulting programs, and especially with Freedom Entrepreneurship, because this is what we talk about in our Freedom Entrepreneurship Mastermind, what we have in person. This is also what we are doing in our one-on-one sessions, or where we are helping small businesses grow and scale companies. And that's also exactly why I created the white paper. And I created the white paper, Freedom Entrepreneurship, where you see exactly on how you can get rid of issues like that, how you can make your company resilient enough that even if crazy things are happening, you are not running into a huge problem, and how you can really build your company in a way that you can grow and scale without losing your freedom. So just click the show notes. You have a link in the show notes and download the free white paper around freedom entrepreneurship, or just connect with me on LinkedIn. You find me with my name because there is just one Stephan Poschik out on LinkedIn, so it should be pretty easy to find me. Stephan with a P and an H, and Poschik, this is P-O-S-C-H-I-K, Poschik, and DM Freedom. And I'm going to send you the free white paper. And in the meantime, I wish you a lot of success in overcoming tough times, avoiding road bumps, and building a successful business. Thank you, and bye for now.